One of the tools that can help us to actively search out reminders is JW Library. This amazing app has been installed on over 15 million devices. But do you know how much work it takes to develop and maintain this app? Well, we are now going to look behind the scenes and meet some of the brothers who have either worked on this project or helped to organize that work. This really is an opportunity to visit an area in Bethel that you don't get to see on tour. Of course, there are many brothers associated with the work, but we would like you to get to know 3 of these very hardworking brothers, and let me introduce them to you. First of all, Brother Pierre Christensen, the overseer of MEPS programming. Now, Pierre, you've been in this country working in the U.S. Bethel for a number of years, but where are you from originally?
I was born in Denmark and served there in the Brands for years.
So when did you and your wife, Berit, come to the United States?
In 1994. And our first year was in Brooklyn. And then we had 18 years in Patterson and then back to Brooklyn again for 3.5 years. And now we're in Warwick since November last year.
Well, I know you worked in translation services for a while because, in fact, the 2 of us worked together in the same department there for a while. But what type of work have you been involved with since you've come to the United States?
Lots of exciting and challenging jobs. Working in translation services, that was training and support for our translators worldwide. Now in MEPS programming, that is all about distribution of spiritual food to all our brothers and sisters. So we have a ton of work and a lot of challenges. But I'm also working with a lot of very, very talented brothers and sisters. So it's a lot of fun and it's great going to work every day.
That's great to hear, Pierre. In fact, I'm even tempted to come back and work with you.
Oh, we would love that.
I think I'd love it too. Well, let's turn our attention to Brother Alfredo Cerna. Now, you're the assistant overseer of MEPS programming. In fact, you and I worked together in Mexico back in 2003. Could you tell us a little bit about what you were doing at that time?
My last work assignment involved overseeing the large translation department there. It was an amazing privilege to work with translators in sign language and the indigenous languages. A true joy to contribute to preparing publications for those in the minority groups.
So when did you and your wife, Gina, come to the United States to work here?
We arrived at Patterson in 2007. We have fond memories of that time, and it's something we still treasure.
Very good. And now, Brother Paul Willis, where do you originally come from, along with your wife, Sulin, and when did you come to the United States?
Well, we're both originally from South Africa, and we served there in Bethel for a number of years. And then in 2010, we were transferred to work along with MEPS programming here in the US.
So what type of work have you been involved with, particularly recently?
Well, most of my time at Bethel, I've been working on the Watchtower Translation System, or WTS. Actually, I was working along with Pierre. Pierre was in headquarters, and I was working on the programming team that we had in South Africa. WTS is the program that the translators use to help organize and manage their translation work. And then, of course, most recently, I've been working on the mobile apps, the JW Library app and the JW Library Sign Language app.
Very good. Well, now, all of you work in MEPS programming. Pierre, can you just tell us a little bit? We're familiar with the term MEPS, but what really is it?
Well, MEPS stands for Multi-Language Electronic Publishing System.
That didn't help me at all. Sorry. Can you make it a little bit more simpler so we can understand?
We make the tools or the programs that the organization needs to make publications and have them translated into hundreds of languages. So I can illustrate it this way, that we are not making the spiritual food, but we are building a conveyor belt for the spiritual food, from the faithful and discreet slave and down to the printing presses, or to our website, or to what's our library, online library, or like in this case, JW Library.
Thanks so much. Now, at long last, I do understand a bit more about what MEPS means. Now, as I travel around, the brothers and sisters, they tell me how much they love JW Library. But there seems to be no end to the suggestions for improvements, features, a long list of suggestions. Can you give us a little bit of an idea of what's involved with trying to develop a new feature with JW Library?
Yes, the brothers and the sisters really love using the app. And because of that, they're keen to get many new features. Of course, we wish we could just add all those new features into the app, but the truth is, we just can't.
Yes, adding each new feature involves a lot of work. And we also need to determine whether a feature that's requested, is that just a nice to have, or is it something that's going to address a real need? For example, will it really help an elder who's out on a shepherding call? Or maybe a pioneer sister who's at the public witnessing carts or at a Bible study or return visit. Also, very important to us is trying to make each new feature very simple to use.
Thanks for doing that.
Especially for a first-time user, someone who's never used the app before. And then, of course, before we start working on anything, we always get approval from the governing body.
That's a good thing to do too.
Like one feature that many have been asking for is the ability to add notes into the app. And of course, before we start programming it, we have to make sure that it actually does what is wanted. And we made a video that shows how we go about that. Would you like to see it?
Well, of course, I'd love to see it.
Hello. How are you?
Good.
Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Yourself.
Fine, thank you. Have a seat. All right, so glad you could be here. Thank you so much.
Ooh, it's all fancy.
Yeah, so we get to talk about JW Library today. So what are some ways that you use JW Library?
I mean, it's revolutionized going to meetings.
I go to meetings sometimes and I just carry my iPad.
The simple fact that you can make the text larger.
It's easy to listen to the readings right in the app now, and so I find myself doing that.
So if we were to make a notes feature, what are some things that you'd like to be able to do?
I mean, if you could see all your notes without tapping on each one, that would be great.
And even if you make a note in maybe your phone, and that it can also be saved in your tablet, that would be really nice.
Well, what if I told you that in front of you is an early version of JW Library?
This is it?
With notes, yeah. So a few months ago, the governing body gave us approval to start working on the notes feature. We got together as a team and we'll do like these rough sketches and the programmers write code. But before we release an update, we have a group of testers. You know, they'll find little glitches or bugs or things, but they'll try to work it out with the programmers. After that, we have a pretty stable version of JW Library. The goal is to show it to you, and you can let us know what you think. So now that you've seen the new notes feature in JW Library, what do you think?
I love that I can tag the personal things that I need to work on, or a comment or a scripture that I can encourage someone with. This is fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
I
Yeah.
like that I can find my notes, especially using the search feature. It's great.
And it's really neat how my comments, I can place it right next to the paragraph for meetings and it doesn't cover the actual text.
Yeah.
The ability to back it up so you can restore it to another device, that's going to be really helpful.
I love it. Amazing.
Okay, go ahead.
So telling us we can
That's fantastic. But brothers, you can't show us something like that and not tell us when we're going to get it.
Well, we said on the website it was coming soon.
I know you said that on the website, but when?
Is it okay to be more specific than that?
I think that's why they invited us here.
Paul, let's hear it.
Well, we're happy to tell you that the notes feature in JW Library will be coming soon. And by soon, we mean during May of 2017, this month. So we can go and check the app stores for an update.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. So all of us will be happy to be able to put our own reminders right there in the JW Library app. Well, I'm looking forward to being able to do that as well. But now, while I've got you here, we're not going to let you go until we ask this big question. What are you working on now? In other words, what can we expect to see soon with JW Library?
We have another brief video showing what the team is working on to support the Study Bible on JW Library app. Would you like to see it?
That's wonderful. Let's have a look.
Later this year, work will begin on adding the study edition of the New World Translation to JW Library. When this edition becomes available in your language, you will be able to discover spiritual gems in the study notes. And the new media gallery will help you to visualize the people, places, and things you read about. You will also see the new overviews of each book, play the introductory videos, and study additional appendix material. All of this and more is coming soon to JW Library.
That sounds so exciting. So we'll all look forward to getting that feature. You said coming soon, didn't you? Anyway, we'd like to thank you very much for the fact that you've come along and you've explained so much to us about what goes on with MEPS programming and the JW Library app. But before you go, we'd like to ask you, when you go back to your department, please take an expression of our appreciation back to the hard-working brothers and sisters who are working behind the scenes and providing this tool for us.
Will do.
Happy to.
Thank you very much.